Welcome to Message Reveal. Message Reveal identifies a vibe, a message, or a story told through lyrics of a song. Well, if you guys rock with me, you know what I do and how I do it. I tell you a few things, only a few things that our guest is associated with. So before we get started, let me tell you these few. One, she's an El Salvadorian American. Two, she's an artist. And three, she does, let me get this right, she does free painting, and we'll find out more about that on walls. So if you guys please put your hands together and welcome my friend Ruby Barrientos. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm grateful.
Oh, thank you for saying yes. I appreciate it. Anytime anyone come on, I'm so grateful. Thank you. So I always ask my guests this one particular thing. What makes you tick? What makes you boil? What gets you up out of the bed?
For me, it's art because I know that's my purpose, and if I didn't do art, I would not, I'd be dead. Like spiritually, I feel, and just I'd be going through the motions, which I feel like a lot of people on this earth do when they don't know their purpose.
Yes. That is definitely true. I actually interviewed a guy prior to you. He's an artist, and he said the same thing. I feel like you guys feel it so much deeper, and because of the deepness, you guys have to express it in your art.
I feel
So
that.
you do feel that way?
Yeah, for sure.
So let's talk about the third thing I mentioned to you when I introduced you about their free wall painting. I thought it was so dope. I saw it on your Instagram. Can you tell me a little bit about what was the catalyst for you guys to even begin that? Because I don't think it was you by yourself, it was some other artists involved, correct?
Yeah, so I could give you a bit of a background and then lead up to that video that you saw on Instagram. I I've always been I've always loved graffiti. When I was like in middle school, I was always looking into they call them writers, a lot of them that do the writing, the lettering, and I always wanted to learn how to do that. And then, flash forward to now, I got wind of this graffiti store having opened a couple years ago. Uh, and it was called Graffiti City. And I was like, I've always wanted to do paint, spray paint. And this is like a space where they have spray paint, and they had a wall in the back where you could just paint, whatever. And that's kind of how I got exposed to it more, at least myself actually doing it. Unfortunately, that store closed. But I would still kind of go hang out with friends and go graffiti, like in certain areas in town where we could paint, And so I met this artist, Terrence, and I was like, well, there's an event in Reno called Art Town, and I had agreed with a friend to do live art. I don't like to paint with a brush when I do live art. For me, if I have an opportunity to do like spray painting, like my own version of graffiti, I tend to go with that because it's just more freeing, because I'm moving my body, I'm using my hands, and just it's this whole thing. It's hard to put into words. Versus painting takes a bit more focus. With painting on a canvas with a brush, I need to be more focused. It's more intimate. Spray painting to me is just a bit more free flow and open. So I enjoy doing that, and threw that idea to my friend for her event, and she was really excited. And I was like, who can I bring with me? My friend Terrence, or he goes by Doom Movement on Instagram. But yeah, so he like threw up his own characters, and then I did my own thing. And yeah, it was fun. Those are things that I like to do, and it's because I can get into my flow with spray painting versus painting. I can do the same thing, but I don't like to just paint with the brush and canvas and all that, like in a public setting for some reason. There's just different levels to it.
No, I think that's great that you're giving us that perspective. I know when I viewed the Instagram, you seemed like you were having fun. And to me, you have to have, this is my perspective, like I would need a pencil. You guys are literally spraying and developing as you're spraying. And I've used spray paint before on furniture and stuff like that. And for me, it feels like it goes everywhere. And I'm like, and you were just like, shh, 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 shh. And I thought it was so dope. And I love that concept that you had the opportunity to just be free with it. So I enjoyed watching you doing it.
Thank you. Usually when I spray paint personally for myself, I don't usually plan the things I'm gonna paint. I always just go in and I'm like, oh, I have these colors. Oh, I kind of reflect because my foundation of my art is drawing. So usually what I do paint up there remnants of these drawings that are still in my head, or maybe even something new, and I just like throw it up on the wall and then I figure out the coloring and stuff. Terrence is a little more meticulous. A lot of the things that he does, he's drawn a lot, he's already colored a lot, so he kind of already has this like process where he knows more what he's going to do versus me. I like to keep it pretty spontaneous when I paint like that.
Does that process also lead into your drawing? Are you spontaneous with that and kind of just free hand and then from there develop something?
Totally. When I draw, I purposely started drawing with Sharpie because with Sharpie it's like I have to go with the flow. I can't, my ego, the perfectionism and all that, I have to put that aside and be creative and see like, oh, maybe I didn't like that. How can I manipulate that to something that's more visually appeasing to me? And that's for me. And a lot of the time people look at the work and they don't even notice, I'm like, yeah, that part I had to adjust, and they're like, oh, I didn't really notice till you told me, or they would have no idea, you know what I mean? And I try to tell that to my friends who are more perfectionists. Like I have a friend who paints, and with painting, you can cover it up so easily, after it dries, especially acrylic. But I was telling them, work with what you think is a mistake, because perhaps it's not a mistake. Kind of like what's that guy, Bob Ross, like happy accidents or whatever that he calls it, because for me, it's just working with that spontaneity and adding this different perspective to something that my ego is telling me is wrong, and I can really zoom out and be like, no, I could work with this, and then my drawing might turn into something even better because I embraced this so-called mistake.
I like that you said that. I'm the student right now. You're teaching me because it's been projects now that I can look at it where I've created something. I was like, oh, I don't know if I really like that. I put it away, forgot about it, came back to it, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's dope. So I don't know if it's my perspective changed or I had time to process it. And like you said, you can modify it to make it into something different. So hopefully somebody is listening in and they have something that they created and they say, "Oh, I don't think it's great." Take a break, put it away, come back to it, and maybe you're able to modify it and make it something better.
Totally. You know, for me, I wasn't always like that. I feel like our creativity is a muscle, you know.
Mm,
For me, like drawing with Sharpie, it really helps my creativity because I'm challenging myself. It's almost kind of a game in a way sometimes when I'm doing these drawings where I know I'm not using pencil, I can't erase this, you know, and so I really have to just let go and be present and just be in the and let myself be in this creative flow and not listen to these my inner critic, you know.
yeah.
And I feel like when I put that inner critic aside, I can really connect and like channel and receive what I'm receiving that is translating into these drawings.
I I love that you said it's a muscle. And anything we don't do, it lays dormant and sometime it'll just go away. So we have to continue to be active in anything that we have enough passion and energy for. And I think whether it's art, whether it's writing, whatever it is, you have to give energy for it. You have to feed that energy of it in order to produce something.
100%. I I haven't been as consistently drawing as of late as I would like, as I have been in previous times, but I'm trying to circle back to that. You know, life happens, adulting, whatever. And I've also been working on like different mediums. Like I've been collaging more and I was dabbling on like sculpture, but drawing is my foundation and it's something that I always want to go back to, uh, or that I do go back to. So one of my strategies to continue being, you know, more disciplined in working that muscle is trying to always carry my sketchbook with me, you know, and
Mm,
that way if I have a free moment or even if I'm with friends, I get them to draw with me, which also exercises my muscle because I do this thing where I have my sketchbook and let's say if I were with you right now and we could do this, I would give my sketchbook to you and be like, just draw something, you know, and
oh,
then you would draw something and I'd be like, pass it back. And then I would add something. We just keep going back and forth until we both feel that the piece is finished.
that's dope. I like that. To me, that's exchanging of energies and building on frequencies. And I believe your frequency is what you do frequently. So I like that. I think that's dope.
Totally. It's something I've always enjoyed to do. I don't even actually I started doing it because of a friend of mine. His name's Nate. And I had never done that with someone, but with him it just felt so natural and we connected also because we both grew up Jehovah's Witnesses, so we had this like deeper understanding of each other and the traumas of that, you know, and but we were able to just connect through drawing and it just felt like a very safe container to do that. And then after I started to open up more and do that with other people or invite people to do that. A lot of the time I've drawn with people that don't feel like they're creative, you know, and I've helped them tap in a little bit into that and exercise that muscle that they don't really access as much. And a lot most of the feedback I've gotten has always been like, whoa, like there's always like a smile on people's faces after, you know, because they their inner critic or ego tells them, oh, you're not an artist, you're not this, you people always think drawing has to be this perfect, I don't know, like a Mona Lisa thing. And it's like, no, you can, art is your art, and it doesn't have to be perfect. And that's the beauty that I see within my creative process, is I really believe in the imperfections make the art better.
Because the imperfections are telling a story along with the perfection, I believe. It's like a storyboard. And when you express all of it together, it gives a complete story from my perspective. So
Yeah, it just keeps it real, and it has more authenticity. Not that the works that are more realism and all that don't, but there's just like a different layer there. And yeah, I really do enjoy connecting with people through drawing. And I'm circling back to drawing in my sketchbook more again, because I have been so kind of consumed with these other projects that I haven't been able to give that the attention that I've been wanting to. So I'm looking forward to getting back into that. And if you do come to Reno, we can definitely do that.
I would I would love to even be in that zone and participate in that. So I'm gonna hold you to it when I get out there. If we meet up, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna see if you remember, and we'll have to do something together. So let's get into the seat of music. I love music. Music has turned me all the way out in a good way. So I have a question for you, and it's regarding music. Can you identify a song that has blessed you, has given you perspective, or distracted you? Before you answer, there's rules to this. If you can sing, I need you to sing your throat box out. If you can rap, I need you to come hard in the paint. I need you to do what you do, how you do it. But if you cannot do that, I need you to say it bold, 10 toes down, and say it with passion and say it with meaning. So I'll go back to my original question. Can you provide lyrics of a song that either blessed you, distracted you, or giving you perspective in life?
I can. There's this band called Combo Chimbita that I really like. Uh, they're based out of New York, I believe, but oh, I'm not sure if the entire group is Colombian, but I know the lead singer is and some of the other members. So it's all in Spanish. Uh, there's this album, I believe it's their second album. I can't recall the title right now, right off the bat. But there's this one song off of that album, which is, let me look it up real quick.
Not a problem. Can you first say it in your native tongue and then interpret to to
I will,
us
I will,
gringos?
I will. Let me find it here on my Spotify really quick. Because I
Not
was
a
actually
problem.
just listening to this song, literally like this week.
Did it bring back memories when you were listening to it? Did it put a smile on your face?
Uh, totally. It's not, it's like newer music. But for me, and I'll give you some background too, but the song is called and it's like Brillo, it's called Brillo más que el oro, which means like I shine more than gold.
Ooh, I love
Um,
that.
and it's like there's a part in the song where it says, sorry, I gotta like translate it.
Say it in
It
your native first and then
oh,
you can translate
okay,
it.
okay. it says, y es en esa oscuridad que brillo más que el oro yo. So that basically means it is in the darkness that I shine the brightest.
Ooh, listen, I'm feeling that. It's so dope. Okay. Because I'm glad you said that, if you don't mind me saying this. So many times we think the darkness is the bad part, and it has so many layers to it. For example, when a mother is pregnant with her child, the baby is in the darkness. If you're planting a seed, it's in the darkness. When you have an idea in your mind, it's in the darkness, and it comes to fruition in the light. So the darkness is the fertile ground for you to produce things. Now we have another side that is dark and not good, but we're talking about the part that is creative, the part that is so rich. So I love that they said in the darkness they create. Am I getting it right?
Well, yeah, in the darkness they shine the brightest.
Shine the brightest. I
Or
love that.
brighter than gold. Yeah.
Amazing. Can you say their name again? Because I want to look it up.
Oh, yeah, and I can text it or email it to you. They're called Combo Chimbita.
Como Chimbita.
Combo Chimbita, yeah. And
Okay.
I and I've seen them in concert and it's like next level. I that singer is like so connected. Like when she's singing, she is like shining like her light on everyone. I will share this. Because I've seen him a couple times and I was going through a really rough breakup that I had with someone, and I went to that concert with my friends, and when she sang, it just felt so healing, you
Mm,
know. And it's something I really needed in that moment, to like just rock out to this band that I really like and just be with my friends and just feel all the like good vibes in that space and the energy. I mean, everyone was like,
wow.
we all it's like that whole space. It just was so powerful and connected. And when she was there, it was like she I didn't feel I don't know, I would say like her ancestors were probably there. Mine,
Ooh,
felt that kind of energy.
yes. I love that you said that it was healing. Music has the ability to penetrate walls, penetrate hearts, and elevate us. And it sounds like that particular moment gave you healing, but also provided elevation for you as well.
Totally. Totally. And I'm actually gonna go see them in concert again in April in the Bay Area. So
Nice, nice. I love that. I say this all the time on my platform. It's 7 lanes in a row. I say seven because seven is my favorite number. We've been taught to fit in one lane. I say go into the lane where you are loved. Go where elevation is for you. Go where your heart is. Do not go where the mainstream media or people are telling you where to go. Because if you do, you will be unhappy. You will not grow. And you'll leave this earth with nothing to contribute. My perspective. So,
yeah, thank you. I agree.
so let's talk about the complexities of being El Salvadorian and American. I know it's like two different worlds. You and I, if I can say, we met back on December 7th, which was my son's birthday, but it was also Geo art exhibit. And we talked a few minutes about just growing up in a different place, but also I think it was during the talk,
Yeah.
but growing up in one place but living in another place, how do you navigate those complexities with being a Salvadorian and also being American?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually have an exhibition right now that really touches on all that. I called it Raíces, which means roots. And basically the story of the show is all the work spans like over 7 years. So work from 2017 to like last year. And it's like not all of it, but works that I've, selected to be there. And the work is so important because it touches on that topic and how when I went back to El Salvador in 2017, I was 30 at the time and I hadn't been there since I was 8. So it was like 22 years later, me going as an adult. And it was kind of odd. I just had this feeling like an inner knowing, like something telling me you need to go back, and I just listened and I booked this flight. And I don't think my family thought I was going to do it because I'd never really traveled like that on my own, like internationally like that. And I was like, I'm just gonna go. And I booked my flight and I have family down there and I met with them. And it was amazing to be there to see the culture as an adult because I don't know, I have a different perspective now. I'm grown, so I can really zoom out and really see things for what they are, and I feel that it was also part of me like decolonizing myself as well. It was like it initiated that. So I went there and I got to connect with my family, hear more about my family history. And then, I mean, the big pivotal point of that trip too was me going to my dad's uh, grave where his ashes are buried because he did pass here, but my mom took his ashes and buried them over there. And so that was also a very healing thing to do, to get to, I don't know, it's like an unspoken thing, I just knew within myself that I needed to do that I needed to go visit my dad. And it was just a very healing moment. And I remember being at the cemetery there and near where he was buried, and all these like white like butterflies were around.
Oh,
So anytime I see these butterflies, I always think of my dad and I feel like it's a sign that he's around, or. And another thing too that was important is I got to see a lot of the Mayan ruins that they have there. And that was really important because it made me see more of my culture. And I also started to realize, like, oh, some of my artwork, I'm already creating some artwork that has some connection to that, that I wasn't really fully aware of. And it brought it more into my awareness. So when I got back, I really started to immerse myself uh, into that in my mind roots. So I was like looking up information, looking at more uh, photos of artifacts and stuff. And so it added, added more of an influence into my work. And I started to really reflect and think, I want to be able to express this through my art. And so
mhm.
it's just really evolved. And it's complex because, as an American growing up in the States, like I didn't learn very much at all about my culture, and then my family here is trying to assimilate. So they're starting to disconnect from that culture, and so it's more so me finding my way back, and because America's just an idea. It's not a, there's no culture to America. We bring the culture. We are the culture. And I'm just through my work, through me actively trying to reconnect to my culture, I'm keeping that alive, and that's important because through colonialism and which through America itself, it definitely tries to erase that from us. And for me, I was just talking about this yesterday because I had my reception for my show and I talked a little bit about the work. What I shared with them is that when you can connect to your roots and understand where you come from, it gives you a better understanding of who you are. And when you're able to get to that level, you are able to see other people with more empathy. And then
Mm.
also you see people more in a community, others in more of a communal community way rather than the like American individualistic way. And yeah, that's pretty much what I've my experience. And even in El Salvador though, there is like I feel welcome there, but also at the same time, I'm still seen as like American there, because I my Spanish is a different dialect. And, I still feel more at home there, than I do here. It's nice to be in a place where it's like people that are of color, you know, versus like here in Reno, it's a very white area. And
So
it's
you
also
have to force yourself or make sure you have something to keep you going that resembles culture from your perspective.
yeah, and it's segregated here too, like it's starting to become a bit more diverse. I mean, a lot of people are moving here, but I mean, growing up, I didn't realize how segregated and how white this area really is. Um, but it's just through my work, I'm just navigating that complexity of this identity, and but also sharing my culture, keeping it alive, and also keeping my ancestors alive through my work as well.
Yes. I think not only by you sharing this, it is someone coming up or someone that's older than you that also experienced this same thing and needed to hear what you had to say. Um, if I may say, your trip was more of an ancestor call because
Mhm.
if you had never done that before and it was longing for you to go to El Salvador, I feel like that was an ancestor call to help your spirit elevate.
Mhm.
But with that being said, can you tell me the difference between your 1995 El Salvadorian trip versus your 2017? You told us about 2017, but you were much younger in 1995. You went with your family in 1995. You didn't fly, you drove. Am I correct? In 1995. Can you give me a different perspective in what you, if you compared the two, what was 1995 to you?
1995 to me was just, I think it was more family focused. And I'll be honest, I think as a kid I didn't know, I didn't see the value in that trip as I would now. I'm just kind of going, I'm a kid, I'm going through the motions and I just want to play and I'm, you know, self-absorbed and but I do remember a lot of great memories. The first off, the trip, it was uncomfortable because we rode in my dad's pickup truck, and me and my sister were like in the bed of the truck, on in the bed of the truck, on laying on a bunch of stuff that my dad was taking back to family. And at one point, somehow we weren't on the stuff anymore, and we were on like the edge, closer to the opening of the truck, and I was like terrified I was gonna fall out of the truck.
Oh my
So I
gosh.
was just holding on for dear life. And then we finally made it. I remember, and we went to my grandma's, and I really enjoyed my grandma's a lot because at the
Mm,
time she was living, I believe my uncle had land and she was living on there, and they had some cows, and it was just, like in in the natural. It was like not like here, right, in the States where you can't just, or at least here in Reno, where I grew up, you didn't just have like a cow you could just go get milk from, you know? And so it was cool to see that and see my grandma like milking the cows. And then she had a bunch of dogs and she had chickens. And she actually made dinner for us. She made like a chicken soup or something, and she killed the chicken. I helped her pluck it. So that was
wow.
like an interesting experience to see that. And
Wow.
I wish I could have spent more time with her. And I do I I would have liked to have connected with her more, but I just didn't stay connected with my family really. And then when my dad passed, and just wasn't really my mom didn't make much of an effort to really keep me connected to my dad's side of the family. So I really lost touch with my grandma, but I remember that trip and really enjoyed being there with her, and she gave me like a harmonica, which was cool. And yeah, she was just very kind and loving, but also like a really tough lady. Like she was this older lady and she had like muscles just from working on the farm or whatever.
Wow.
She had like mango trees and yeah, and this is another funny memory. My dad was laying in a hammock and there's like a snake there. I don't know if it was poisonous or what, but she just went up to it and just like hit it on his head with a stick, and then it was
Oh.
like dead. And I was like, "What?"
Well, that shows you she was a bad mother. Ooh.
Yeah, she definitely was.
Wow.
So I really enjoyed that side of my family.
Can I ask you this? Is your grandmother still here with us?
No, she unfortunately passed before I had my trip.
Okay.
Yeah.
So on this platform, anytime we talk about anyone that has transitioned on, I encourage you to say their full name because if not, they transition on a second time. Once a physical, second a spiritual, if we don't speak their full name and continue to talk about them. So if you can say and honor her by giving us her full name.
Yeah, her full name is, I don't know if she had a middle name, but her name is Marina Barrientos.
So we bless her and thank you for sharing that about her, but also your perspective for the two different trips to El Salvador. And I don't know if this is appropriate, you can tell me or not, but I love some pupusas,
Yeah,
honey.
me too, man.
The first time I actually experienced pupusas, I was at a baby shower and it was like, go try. And I was like, okay, so you have, and it was a cheese pupusa, cheese and beans inside. And then you have the, like a coleslaw. That's the way I would describe it. A coleslaw. And then you can put the hot sauce or the crema on. I fell in love with it. I fell in love with it. It was amazing. So, from my understanding, my friends that are El Salvadorian, they said that that can be a breakfast food, it can be a lunch food, it can be a dinner. It just all depends on when you want to serve it. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, pupusas are yeah, they're delicious, and you can have them any time really. There is a dish, a Salvadoran dish that I enjoy that's like mainly, well, you could have that dish anytime too. It's plantains and beans.
Love plantains and beans.
Yeah. And that's like one of my favorites. I love plantains and yeah, and
Yes.
they're just fried, but they have like they're sweet and
Mm-hmm.
and I personally like to like cut a little bit and mix it with the beans and then some crema, which is,
Mm.
you know, sour cream kind of in a way. And then, yeah, it's just
But
delicious.
that crema, so I go to a place here in town when I want to have pupusas. It's on the east side of town. And we cannot compare sour cream to crema.
That's true. That's not a good description,
I mean, yes, it's both white, but crema to me, my personal is up here. It has a smooth, I can't express it, but I would never, even if I didn't say I had a pupusa and they say, hey, we don't have any more crema, I can give you sour cream. I would go,
but yeah, no, I feel you on that. Crema is much better, and there's also a little bit of a richness to it.
yes.
That's what it is like in a it's slightly sweeter, than
And
sour
it's
cream would be.
smooth too. It's
Yeah.
smoother. I don't know how to express maybe the people that have had the two, but once I was exposed to it, I was like, okay, all right, I get my crema. So of course I still eat sour cream for other things, but like I said, if it's pupusas or something like that, if I have to have sour cream on it, I'm done because I think it just kills the vibe of it. So,
Yeah, yeah. My favorite pupusa would be queso and loroco. I don't know if
okay.
you've had the loroco. It's like a flour, basically, and they put it into the cheese, and it's like this small, like green little flower. It's really
No. I'm gonna have to,
complicated.
yes, I'm going to definitely try that. The pupusas that I've had, I had bean pupusas, I've had queso pupusas. I don't eat any pork, so I haven't had that. I know, do they have chicken pupusas?
Some people make them, but typically it's usually like pork
Okay. Well,
or
I haven't had
chicken.
that. No.
It's
So,
usually the pork and bean and cheese or pork and the bean but that's kind of like chicken would I've seen places do it, but it's not I wouldn't say it's like the traditional.
okay.
The traditional is usually with pork.
Okay. Well, I guess I haven't had traditional. I just had queso and beans. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean that's still yeah, it's still just as good.
Well,
I don't really eat pork either.
okay, so we're on the same page. So when I come to Reno and we go eat, we should be good.
Yeah, I can take you to my favorite pupusa place here.
Oh, please,
And
please.
then you can compare to see if it's better or not as good as in Vegas. Like the best pupusas I've had obviously would be in El Salvador, but in the States, like San Francisco or LA.
Okay. Well, hopefully I can. So when I go to the place, they don't even speak English. Like
Okay.
there is one person that may. So I try my best to communicate in my poquito Spanish, or I'll like look it up on my phone, and I get what I want, but to me, I feel like they are truly authentic, but we'll be able to compare when I come that way. So let's talk about music again, and let's talk about your childhood music. Um, as a child, you listened to different kind of music. I don't know what kind, because you did say you were Jehovah Witness, so you might have had limited amount. But think about a song that you may have been exposed to and you truly enjoy, and then you became an adult and you go, wait a minute, I I didn't know that song meant that or said that. And I was like jamming to it. Can you identify a song?
Well, growing up, my sisters, I did get exposure to a lot of music because of my sisters, which I'm grateful for, because they were just listening to whatever. My parents weren't really, or my mom wasn't really that strict, because my dad wasn't Jehovah's Witness, but my mom was, and I don't think she paid too much attention to the consumption of their like the music media that they were taking in. So then that gave me access to you know, different types of genres. And as for a specific song, that's a tough one. And I was really trying to reflect, and I couldn't really like find one specifically. But what I'll say is more so me as a teenager listening to certain things like a certain hip hop that wasn't conscious, you know. For example, I was listening to like a Bone Thugs and Harmony song, and I love them, you know, when I was a teenager. I was like into it. And I was listening to the song like recently, and I was like, holy fuck, like there's there's some shit in this, you know. Sorry, I don't
No,
mean,
girl, look, we flow on this. So tell me
but
what you identify in the song that made you say, wait a minute.
it felt low vibration to me, you know, and it made me a bit sad because you know, I respect artists of color and I support hip hop, but I realize that that's not my hip hop anymore.
You've grown past that.
Yeah, and I was listening to the lyrics of the song, and at some point they're like saying like this makes me violent, and I was like, whoa, like these words are strong, and we don't realize that we're being programmed, you know, at that young age. And so it made me reflect and like, damn, I was listening to this at like 15 or 14 or something.
hmm
And I was just going along with it. And I really like the beat and melody. And that's one thing about me that I realize that now as I've grown older, I'm paying more attention to the lyrics versus when I was younger, I was really all melody for me. And so it
No,
makes
no, go ahead.
it just makes me reflect on these people that amplify these artists. I mean, they're using them for their own agenda to instill a certain vibration or ideas within them. And yeah, it was it was really interesting when you really start to look at it like that. And so yeah, I was just listening to this song, and I was just kind of like, whoa, like really shocked that I was listening to this as a kid. And I know that there's a more of that too, even when I was younger, that I might not recall until I like hear that song. But that was my most recent like experience that I was like, oh shit. And I couldn't finish the song. Like I had to stop listening to it. So I was like,
Also, I would say, and this is from my perspective, once you grow past something or you vibrate on a higher level, you're able to look back and look at it and see at that time that fit maybe your ear gauge, but now because you've grown, you have experience and you vibrate on a different level, that's no longer your thing.
totally. And not even just with hip hop, even with, I used to be more of like, also in that age range, teenager, really into alternative music, even some metal, some like hardcore, like punk stuff. And I can't really listen to a lot of that. And there's like stuff in that too, like where it's like aggressive and very angsty and you know, and so it makes me reflect on music being used to just really affect our emotions, you know,
It
and
does.
yeah, put us in these, like you're saying, these frequencies. And I've totally grown so much. When I look back, I'm like, you know, there's with my 37 years on this earth, I've had so many lifetimes within these 37 years.
Yes, yes. As you were talking, the spirit gave me these sets of glasses.
Mm.
And once you take a set off, you can never see that particular way again. Nor can you have the opportunity to put those old glasses back on and look at those things as they were. So you have just taken off these sets throughout your lifetime, and it's okay. It's nothing. You're continue to elevate, and you just can't put it back on, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Totally. And I was just I feel you on that 100% because I was really, for some reason I was like, I want to try to listen to Bone Thugs and Harmony again, just randomly, you know, and maybe it was because it was close to my birthday, and I don't know, maybe I'm going through some type of like reminiscing nostalgia, and I was like, oh, I should listen to this, you know, and I tried, and for a minute there I kind of listened to it, but then it didn't fit.
Well,
I can't listen to this anymore.
as the song says, if it don't fit, don't force it. I mean, just let it go, and you moved on to something else. So, can you identify one of your favorite artists and why?
One of my favorite artists, musicians right now, for me, it would really be that band that I mentioned earlier, Combo
Yes.
Chimbita. I I feel I can connect with them because they talk a lot as well about their culture and ancestors as well, like within the music. And it just feels there's a sense of power to their music. And like you mentioned earlier, when I talked about them, like they're elevating me. And so I'm gravitating more towards music like that, where I feel more elevated, music that has more consciousness to it. And I'm really open to listening to all kinds of music. And it's really hard to just pick one artist. But for now, I would say they are, especially because I've seen them so many times in concert.
Wow. I think it's nothing wrong with that. I say this all the time on my platform. Your music taste can change. It can be depending on the day, your mood, your emotion, or what you need at the time. So today is what it is. You and I may talk next season and you have something totally different. That's why it's from your perspective. So before we get out of here, I have one last question. But before we do this one last question, can you go with me down memory lane and tell me your first super passionate? I know an artist is an artist, but what was the first thing you remember creating and you were like, I'm hooked?
For me, and within my artwork,
Yes.
I I have this memory as a kid of me just drawing, and I was there's like this photo of a tiger or some kind of animal. And I remember drawing, and I felt really proud of it. And I showed it to my family, and they're kind of like, yeah, but like they weren't paying attention. And I felt like very proud of it. I but they didn't pay much attention, and I kind of got a little discouraged. And then flash forward to high school, I started getting more into drawing. And at the time, as we've been talking about frequency, I mean, I was not, I, I did, I hadn't healed right the way that I've healed now. So a lot of that artwork was very dark, but it was also therapeutic for me to create this work and get it out. And I knew then that I wanted to do something within the arts. Like I thought perhaps I could be like a cartoonist because I really love drawing, just kind of my own kind of cartoons and but I never knew it would lead to now. So after high school though, I from 2005 to 2016, I really didn't make art really because
What?
yeah, like I graduated high school, I got a job, I was trying to like help my mom out. So I was really like adulting right as soon as I got out of high school. And but that's when I felt my worst. I was like really depressed, not happy.
Because you wasn't sitting in your gifts. You wasn't participating in your natural gifts.
I wasn't participating. I wasn't living authentically. And I had all these layers of like the religion, and I'm queer. And so I had a lot of things I had to work through because, the religion was saying I'm bad for having these feelings. And so I've worked through a lot to now, but now that I've, at around 2016, 2017, that's when everything shifted because I finally was like, I need to just exist as me, and I started loving
I need
myself
you to say that
more.
one more time because there's somebody listening and they have gone down the path you've gone. And I think what you said is the most powerful. I have to exist as me.
Yeah, I have to exist as me, and I need to live my life for me and not in these perceptions, projections, or whatever to fit other people's, ideas of me. I have to just authentically be me. And once I started to embrace that, I started to reconnect with myself, do healing, and I started to get into art. And then as I started to get into art, I started to really see how happy I was. And I realized like I am an artist. And then I also realized this is my purpose. And ever since I fully embraced and stepped into it, like I remember I was sitting at a table at this place in town called West Street Market, where I ended up meeting a lot of friends there, creative friends. And I was at this bar. It was like a kava bar. I don't know if you know what kava is,
No,
but it's like a Polynesian drink. Uh it's good there's good effects. It's kind of it's an alternative, or people use it now as an alternative to drinking because I didn't really feel I guess I felt some effects of it, but also I'm sure if you get it from like an actual like Polynesian place, it's probably much better, but
of
I was
course.
I was trying to look for an alternative from like an alcoholic bar, and I like to just sit there and draw and stuff. And I was sitting there and I remember I was talking to the lady or someone there that was tending, and I said, my passion is art. My passion is to create. And that's my purpose. And then after I just fully embraced that and stepped into it. And ever since it's been nonstop. Like I've been on that road. I wouldn't have met you if I hadn't fully embraced my purpose. And so it's crazy when I look back and I realize like all these opportunities that have come my way are because this is what I'm meant to do. And I just
Yeah.
have to continue to have faith and move forward.
Yes, I love that. I absolutely love that you are being transparent, that you are giving your perspective on how you see life, and you are giving someone the opportunity or the first step to say, I can do that for myself. So I love that. Thank you so much. Before we get out of here, can you please share? First of all, I heard about, and somebody should have texted me and told me about your exhibit that you said yesterday.
Yeah, so here in Reno, there's another city about 30 minutes away, which is the capital of Nevada, Carson,
Yes.
where I had my show at the Western Nevada College, which is the community college there. And they have this nice gallery called the Bristlecone Gallery. And so that's where I had I've my show's been there since like late January, and it'll be there through April, like April 12th. But it's showing at the college, and yeah, I'm very grateful for that opportunity, especially a space where I can show this little retrospect of the work I've created within the last 7 years. It's kind of wild to see a lot of it all in this one place.
Well, first, congratulations. We clap, clap, clap you up on that. We celebrate you for being brave. Continue on your path. I'm so happy for you. Also, please share any social media handles and anything else you would like to share with my audience, if even if they want to reach out to you.
Yeah, you can reach out to me on Instagram. My Instagram is at Ruby_JO. And then my website is another good place to, if you want to look at my art or read about my art. I'm also selling stickers on my website if you're interested. That website is called newwavemayan.com.
Yes, awesome. Well, I did say I had one last question, and this one last question is always my favorite. It's high elevation, it's high energy. Um, for example, if you're at a restaurant and you hear people sing happy birthday, typically people participate. You don't even have to ask, they'll go, happy birthday, and just get in and participate. When I see that, it is me being a sitting back and watching. It is so freeing. It gives me energy just to see people sing and participate. But it's also the part I've seen where I'm participating and it's high energy. So, can you identify a song that you either participated and it has high energy, or you were sitting back watching it and it had high energy?
I will say I participated in something. My friend, he's a rapper, and he made a song, and he wanted me to sing and rap on it. And I don't know. I did it, I am somewhat of a musician. I'm musically inclined. And so yeah, I wrote something, I sang, we came up with something, and then another friend joined us on the song, and then this friend, or we've performed it here a couple of times locally. And so the song, for me, at least the part that I wrote, is is really about strength and resilience, and it's very conscious, and it's just about,
Yes.
I'm trying to, because it's all in Spanish. I'm trying to think of the lyrics right now. So like like on my part, when I rap, I'm like, these vibes are for the people. walking in calmness on the road to like revolution. It's like,
Ooh,
yeah,
okay, all
I'll
right.
have to send it to you.
Please.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good song, and it's kind of just it's conscious hip hop of just talking about things that are real,
Yeah,
and things that affect us. And yeah, it's a really good song, and it's a powerful song. And when you're on stage, it's hard to sometimes, like, I can feel the energy because I'm outputting, and I know there's energy and an exchange, like, from the
yes.
people that are giving it back. But it's like when you're in it, you're just like in this flow, but you're also like all interconnected. So it's a cool feeling.
That's really, really, I'm glad you're looking at putting vibrational energy into your songs, into the world. No, because of that, it's timeless, will never go out of style. Even if at that particular moment when you're giving it and people may not receive it at that moment, just know when they awaken, they'll be able to capture and go, wow, I see what she was saying. Oh, that's dope. Just know you do your part and continue to elevate and be Ruby. And I think it would be always amazing. I'm so happy that you said yes to me on my platform. I appreciate your time. And before we get out of here, I always say this one thing about um, the the journey and the destination. The journey is where we learn and where we grow. The destination is where we celebrate. Too many times we're on the journey and we forget about celebrating. Celebrating is needed and necessary. But when it's all said and done, we got to get back into that journey so we can continue to learn. And I just say thank you, thank you, thank you for coming onto my platform. I look forward to us connecting in a couple of months in Reno if you're available. Before we get out of here, I always give my audience the last words. So, any last words you'd like to say before we get out of here to my audience?
Yeah, I would just like to thank you all for listening and supporting your podcast. And I'm grateful to you for having me on, and grateful that we connected. And I feel like we're definitely on that same vibe. And I'd just like to tell people that are listening to just really explore your explore your inner self, and really learn about yourself, connect to yourself, and really try to explore who you are and go deeper into your roots, and just connect to your ancestors and to the land. And because when we start really connecting with ourselves and seeing that we are all interconnected,
Yes.
we can collectively create a better world together. And so I don't know, I guess I'm just calling to all of you to reflect on that, and if you can do that, so that we can make a better world for the future generations to come. And also, in regards to creativity, create, whether it's, like, for example, this is your medium of creation, so it doesn't have to be visual or music. There's creativity in so many different ways, just in problem solving, that's being creative, so whatever you feel good doing, like, keep rolling with that. And the more you do, it's going to turn into something, or it'll lead you to something else that brings you joy. And just try to stay in the vibration of joy and love. And even though there's so much going on in the world, if you can stay in that vibration and, like, send that love through prayer, or just the thinking of these places, you know, I truly believe that that still helps. So those are my final words.
Oh, thank you so much. And you guys, please put your hands together. And I want to say her last name correct. Buddy, say it for me.
Barrientos.
Barrientos. So you guys, please, please put your hands together and thank my friend Ruby Barrientos. Thank you so much. I bow to you. I bow to all my ladies.
Hi, buddy. Thank you.
And we will be in touch. And I'm so looking forward to you. Just in talking to you, you gave me an idea about something. So thank you. I've enjoyed this interview, and I shall talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.